You're just an ordinary college student. Yet you mistakenly got into the campus heartthrob's Porsche Cayenne, and he even offered to be your DD driver to take you back to school. He even silently protected you when you were being harassed by a pervert. Yet you were completely unaware that he had been secretly in love with you for years. The truth wasn't revealed until the high school reunion, but I had long forgotten that he had once written you a love letter. I called a DD, only to find that the driver was none other than the campus heartthrob, Jason. I couldn't help but sigh at his predicament, having to drive for Didi. Jason was silent for a moment. Have you ever seen someone drive a Porsche Cayenne for Didi? I was stunned and whipped my head around. I realized the real Didi driver was practically honking his horn off. When I finished tutoring and was about to head back to school, it suddenly started raining. I quickly hailed a Didi. Girl, I'm just across the street. It's the white Havel car with its hazard lights on. See it? What kind of car is a Havel? I was completely confused, but I recognized a white car, so I quickly looked up to search for it. Through the dense curtain of rain, a white car was parked on the side of the road opposite me, with its hazard lights flashing. The car body was sleek and shiny. This must be it, I thought. I wasn't sure, but I still braved the rain and rushed over, slipping into the passenger seat of the white car. The car smelled rather nice, like some high-end perfume had been sprayed, and even the seats were soft and comfortable. It was just that the car behind us, for some unknown reason, was honking madly, wiping the rain from my face. I hastily thanked the driver. Thank you, master. Just drop me off at the side gate of A University. The school doesn't allow Didi inside. Sorry for the trouble. The driver still didn't say a word. I realized something was wrong, and turned my head, bewildered. My gaze fell into a pair of eyes that seemed to be smiling yet not smiling. The owner of the eyes was young and handsome, with striking, well-defined eyebrows. I was stunned. Holy cow. How could the DD driver be Jason, the golden boy of our school? In a flash, I quickly imagined a story where this powerful and wealthy family suddenly went bankrupt and fell on hard times, forcing him to drive DD to make money. He, who had always been noble and outstanding, humbled himself to make a living, becoming a pitiful, yet strong, little white flower. I couldn't help but sigh, blurting out, "Are you driving for Didi lately because your family needs money?" Jason was silent for a moment. Have you ever seen someone driving a Porsche Cayenne for Didi? I was stunned. What the heck? A Porsche Cayenne? Although I don't know much about cars, I know that kind of car is very expensive. But wasn't the Didi I called a Haval, little white car? How did it turn into a Porsche Cayenne? As I was completely bewildered, the horn behind me started blaring like crazy, and then a white car screeched to a halt beside me. The driver angrily rolled down the window and yelled at me in frustration. Girl, I've been honking my horn until it's almost broken, and you just got into someone else's Cayenne without even looking back. I told you it was the Haval little white car with its hazard lights on. I was dumbfounded, as if struck by lightning. Damn, I got into the wrong car, so I immediately offered an awkward smile. Uncle, I'm sorry. Usually when I have some money, I just spend it on food. So I really don't know the difference between a Cayenne and a Haval. I'll go over there now, don't worry. Then I quickly turned to Jason and apologized sheepishly. Sorry, I got into the wrong car. I'm leaving now, sorry. After saying that, I shamefully prepared to open the car door, but I found the car door locked. Just then, Jason's deep, pleasant voice sounded behind me. Cancel the order. I, your DD driver, will take you. To be honest, it was my first time seeing someone handle such a mundane task with the effortless grace of someone casually placing bets in a luxury casino. After paying the cancellation fee, the driver uncle left with a dark expression. I sat in the passenger seat of the Cayenne, picking at my fingers, feeling rather chagrined. The luxury car was silent, save for the patter of rain outside and the chaotic clamor in my mind. What a mess. At that moment, I desperately wished I could go back 10 minutes and pay a hefty sum to my past self who hadn't opened the car door. But thankfully, the ox and horse... Oh no. Jason was handsome and kind enough to not mind taking me back to school. I couldn't resist, so I secretly turned my head to glance at the boy who was driving. His profile was sharp, with a hint of lazy charm, and even his hands resting on the steering wheel had clearly defined knuckles. Hiss, no wonder the girls at school were so infatuated with him. He certainly had the looks for it. I heard he politely declined all advances, stating he had a white moonlight. What a wonderful and devoted man. Isabel, what are you thinking about? I'm thinking about you. I answered subconsciously, lost in thought. But the car fell silent again. I shivered and immediately came back to my senses, hastily explaining. I was thinking you're so excellent. Driving a Cayenne at such a young age. You'll definitely be driving an aircraft carrier in the future. Jason turned his head and glanced at me, a slight smile playing on his lips. I'll take that as a good omen. I chuckled awkwardly twice, secretly kicking myself. Fortunately, Jason didn't seem to pay much attention to the nonsense I'd just said, and he drove steadily, dropping me off at the girls' dorm building. By then, the rain had stopped. As I unbuckled my seatbelt, I thanked him profusely and hypocritically. Thank you, Jason. I owe you a favor. Just let me know if you need anything. Of course. I was just being polite. After all, our only connection was being members of the same club. Mere acquaintances. Given how busy a young master like him must be, he'd probably forget about me the moment he turned around. To my surprise, Jason slowly chimed in. All right, I have a basketball game tomorrow. Come, bring me some water. Huh? I looked at him, bewildered. No, you're actually serious? The next day, after my specialized class, I politely declined the male class monitor's invitation to watch a movie and slowly ambled to the basketball court alone. Folks, no kidding. Outside the basketball court, it was a sea of people. Firecrackers going off. I almost couldn't squeeze in. Even Eddie Peng probably wouldn't get this kind of turnout. In the end, I struggled to find a corner with a bottle of mineral water and just hunkered down. Taking a deep breath, I looked up at the intensely competitive court, sweat flying. Young and vibrant male college students ran fiercely. Men. All men. Of course, the most eye-catching among them had to be Jason. His bangs were slightly damp, and the muscles on his exposed arms were smooth and defined. Just then, Jason casually lifted the hem of his jersey to wipe off sweat, revealing his well-defined abs. This sight made the woman next to me scream continuously, almost making me deaf. Rubbing my aching ears, I secretly wondered, if I were to openly go and deliver water like this later, would I go in vertically and come out horizontally? Possibly. Very possibly. My life might not be worth a favor. Just as I was trembling, Jason in the middle of the court seemed to sense something. He suddenly looked in my direction, his eyes dark. I was startled and instinctively turned to look left and right. All beautiful women. Since Jason had seen me, sneaking away now would seem a bit inappropriate. So I awkwardly waited in the sidelines. But soon, Jason left the court. He picked up his jacket and bag and left directly. The court instantly became much quieter. I was stunned. Big brother, I haven't even given you the water yet, and you're already gone. Just as I was debating whether to follow him, my phone chimed. I pulled it out and saw an unfamiliar number come to the path behind the court. Who is this? Beep. Aren't you going to bring me water? Oh, it's Jason. I clutched the water and walked over, seeing the boy standing there playing on his phone. I cleared my throat, intending to hand him the water and leave. He put away his phone, tilted his head, and glanced at me. Let's go. Go. Go where? I was a bit bewildered, but Jason had already started walking forward, so I had no choice but to follow him, completely confused. Even after arriving at the hot pot restaurant outside school and sitting down with him, I still didn't understand the situation. Looking at the boy who was ordering food on his phone, I quietly called out to him. Jason? The boy seemed to be in a very good mood. Are we here to eat? What else? Huh? My whole being was a bit bewildered. Does water delivery service also include treating someone to a meal? Jason chuckled softly and explained. A high school friend of mine happens to be nearby, so I'm treating him to a meal. Then I'll leave first. Aren't you hungry? Okay. He's got me. I rubbed my stomach and decided not to be coy anymore, embracing the honesty of freeloading. It just suddenly felt like I owed another favor. While I was lost in thought, a tall, burly guy walked in. Jason. You. Holy cow! When did you finally get your white moonlight? The guy pointed at me, dumbfounded. In that instant, I felt like my brain was about to be exiled by someone. The spicy hot pot was bubbling. I gnawed on a soft piece of potato, secretly glancing at Jason. Once, then again. I wanted to ask him something, but with his friend present, I really didn't know how to start. At this moment, Jason seemed to kick his friend with his foot. Carlos, are you going to the restroom? Huh? No, I'm not. Jason didn't say anything, just looked at him expressionlessly. A single word was clearly reflected in his eyes. Scram. His friend Carlos looked utterly confused. But then he suddenly darted a glance at me and then chuckled. All right, I'll go suffer the trouble of going to the restroom. You and your white moonlight can eat slowly. Only after his friend left did I slowly raise my head. I met Jason's gaze, who had been watching me for who knows how long. I awkwardly fiddled with my chopsticks. Jason, aren't you going to explain? Explain what? About the white moonlight thing. Your friend seems to have mistaken someone. A faint, unreadable smile played on Jason's lips, his gaze falling on my face over the steam of the hot pot. He didn't mistake anyone. Okay. That sentence completely silenced me. I opened my mouth, then uncontrollably let out a burp. Amidst the guy's uncontrollable chuckle, I, feeling utterly embarrassed, continued to bury my head in my food. My ears were completely red. After floating back to the dorm in a daze, I was still a bit bewildered. My roommate, who was drooling over some BL anime, took a moment to ask about me. Belle, I was just about to call you. The area around the school hasn't been very peaceful lately. There's a male pervert wandering around, so be careful. It's nothing. I just went out for a meal. After saying that, I slowly moved closer to watch the anime with her. But when I saw a handsome male protagonist, I couldn't help but suddenly ask, do you think it's possible for a super, incredibly handsome, rich, and perfect male god to like me? Like whom? Like Jason. My roommate burst out laughing. Belle, good things like this only happen in dreams. I sighed faintly. In my mind was the scene of Jason dropping me off at the dorm building just now. He looked at me intently, his eyes sparkling, his voice soft and gentle. Isabel, I've liked you for a long time. It's a dream. It must be a dream. I tossed and turned all night, unable to recall any interactions I had with Jason. Besides, occasionally seeing each other at club events, or passing each other in the cafeteria. There was nothing else. I've seen the prematurely balding department head more often than him, so I was even more confused, and didn't even feel like reading my favorite BL manga. When I closed my eyes, all I saw were poems. 10 years, life and death, both vast and unknown, and pleasant goat and big wolf. Oh, I'm so cultured. Just as I was finally drifting off to sleep, my phone kept ringing. I opened it to see that the high school group chat had come alive late at night. The class monitor was organizing a get-together this weekend, and anyone who wanted to go could sign up. I didn't want to go initially, but the gathering was in this city, and my long unseen homeroom teacher would also be there. So I popped up and signed up. Immediately, several male classmates started chatting with me. They kept asking about my recent situation, but I honestly couldn't remember who they were. That's because I suddenly fell seriously ill right before the college entrance exam. My high fever wouldn't break, almost frying my brain, and after I woke up, I inexplicably forgot many people. Luckily, my homeroom teacher kept encouraging and taking care of me. After I was discharged, I went straight to take exams, and almost ended up in the ICU again after finishing them. After politely replying a few times, I was about to turn off my phone and go to sleep when I saw the class monitor send another message. This time, students from the other class the teacher teaches will also join the gathering. We're all teacher and students, so let's not be strangers. At that time, the homeroom teacher taught Chinese to 2 classes. One was our liberal arts class, and the other seemed to be a science class. I really couldn't remember, so I didn't bother thinking about it anymore. Anyway, just go eat when the time comes. Staying up late for once made me completely listless during class the next day. After all, waking up at 8 every day, it's understandable to be a bit out of sorts. My roommate saw I was listless and immediately dragged me to the sports field to watch the male athletes from the sports department train. The beautiful bodies instantly sobered me up. No exaggeration. I wanted Su Pei-sheng to bring them all over in the Chunen Fengluen carriage tonight. Just as I was enthusiastically discussing with my roommate who should be brought in for the night first, I received a text message from an unknown number. Where are you? The sports field. What are you doing at the sports field? I replied smoothly. Discussing with my roommate, whose abs among the sports department's male athletes are the best to touch. The person sent a string of ellipses. Tisk. How rude. Just as I was about to continue admiring the heroic figures of the sports male athletes, I suddenly noticed something was off. I looked at the number suspiciously again, And then I saw the old message from yesterday where this person asked me to go to the small path behind the stadium. Hiss! I gasped directly, my eyelids twitching wildly. Just as I was scrambling to explain a couple of sentences, a familiar, pleasant male voice sounded behind me. I'm also curious which abs are better to touch. Jason's sudden appearance left my roommate dumbfounded. In her bewildered expression, I slowly moved over. Why are you here? I also came to admire. Jason smiled faintly, but the smile didn't reach his eyes. He was upset. Definitely upset. He had just confessed to me yesterday, and today I was looking at other men in front of him. No matter how I looked at it, I felt a bit ungrateful. I gave a dry laugh and stiffly changed the subject. Well, meeting is fate. Let me treat you to dinner. There's nothing a meal can't solve. After all, I still owed him a meal. Unexpectedly, Jason refused. Something came up. Next time. Oh, of course. I wouldn't be so nosy as to ask when next time would be. Just as I was thinking of an excuse to escape, Jason suddenly called out to me. Isabel, are you free this weekend? I answered truthfully. No, I'm going to a high school reunion. Okay, got it. Jason nodded thoughtfully and left quickly. It was as if he had snatched a moment from his busy schedule to catch me cheating. This thought struck me like a bolt of lightning, leaving me utterly stunned. Just then, a short honk sounded abruptly beside me. I turned around. My roommate had completely lost it, twitching like an electrocuted frog. So, Jason says he likes you now, and he's pursuing you? I nodded seriously. If nothing unexpected happens, that should be the case. My roommate stared at me, grinning mischievously, his mind probably racing at 180 miles per hour. You lucky dog. The male god's beautiful physique absolutely crushes everyone else. I calmly lowered my head to look at the newly added WeChat friend, but my face was subtly burning. Beep. I'm free, after the weekend gathering. Huh? Aren't you going to treat me to dinner? Okay. He's not one to lose out. So, I proactively suggested that I would go find him for another meal after the gathering. But Jason said, no need. I'll pick you up. I reread the chat history several times. Had I mentioned the gathering location? No. With a puzzled mind, the weekend arrived. I arrived at the gathering hotel right on time, aiming to waste no time. Many classmates greeted me warmly, and several boys whom I had mercilessly rejected back then also occasionally said hello. There was also a group of unfamiliar classmates sitting at the next table. They were probably from another class. They were all adults, and after a few words, the atmosphere became much more harmonious. When teacher Emily arrived, she held my hand, full of kindness. After asking about my health, she also complimented me on looking better. I smiled faintly. Soon, the class monitor started to make some polite remarks. Specifically, he used exaggerated rhetoric to summarize the tough high school years and look forward to the arduous life ahead. Everything seemed perfectly normal. Suddenly, I heard a boy at the next table ask, "Hey, isn't Jason coming today too?" I paused, my drink halfway to my lips, thinking I was hallucinating. Who? Jason. Just as I was about to discreetly prick up my ears to listen carefully, the door to the private room for the party was pushed open. A boy with a sharp yet somewhat aloof demeanor stood there, holding a jacket, his expression lazy and distant. I'm late. Sorry. I sat there, utterly stunned. My CPU almost burned out. What the hell? Jason and I were high school classmates? He already knew me? I had been wondering what he meant by saying he had liked me for a long time. So this was what he meant. And no wonder he said he could pick me up directly even though I hadn't told him the party location. He was actually playing the big bad wolf here. While I was in a daze, Jason had already walked in, and many classmates eagerly greeted him. Carlos, behind him, also waved at me with a grin. Many female classmates, blushing, asked Jason to sit next to them, their admiration unconcealed. He politely refused, his steps unwavering. Then he pulled out the empty chair beside me and sat down gracefully. Folks, no joke. It felt like the helplessness of having raised 6 sons, only to then have to raise 12 grandchildren for them. In that moment, I wanted an 82-year-old cigarette to calm down. Jason, that's class 1. Our class is over here. Someone called out to him with a laugh. Jason didn't move, but said indifferently, No need. I'm accompanying someone. After speaking, he turned his head to look at me, his gaze clear and gentle. So, The old classmates in the private room cast all sorts of glances at me. I lowered my head and chugged my drink, though I had already been blown away by his disregard for my well-being. My desire to pretend not to know him was obvious. Emily, who was beside me, glanced at us both and suddenly spoke with a smile. "Since everyone's here, let's eat." Everyone withdrew their gazes, and I slowly raised my face, ready to feast. Just then, the culprit beside me spoke softly. "Belle, after the party, wait for me in the car." His voice wasn't loud, but it still attracted many people to look at me in surprise again. I was numb. All right, the whole of Jingqi Bay is now utterly in chaos. This meal made me feel like I had thorns in my back, a fishbone in my throat, and was sitting on pins and needles. Yet Jason calmly peeled shrimp. This level of composure, I must say, was truly impressive. So, I immediately followed suit and became calm as well. However, a girl's sudden remark broke the slightly strange and gossipy atmosphere in the private room. "Isabel, are you also at a university now?" My chewing paused, and I looked up at the person. It was the former class beauty. When Jason came in, she was the most shy, and also the one who had given me the most intense side-eyes. "Yes, Jason is also at a university, so you really have the advantage of being close to him, haven't you? You must have talked to the male god quite a bit, right?" Her words, both overt and subtle, seemed to imply that I was using my alumni status to fawn over someone. I calmly put down my chopsticks, a little puzzled. "Then why didn't you come to a university? Was it because you didn't like it?" Pfft. The classmates at the table couldn't help but laugh out loud. The class beauty was pretty in high school, outgoing, and got into early relationships instead of studying, spending her days messing around with various boys. In the end, she seemed to have just muddled through and gone to a vocational college. The smile on the class beauty's face faltered. "Isabel, you're really funny now. Just speaking to people in their own language." I lowered my eyes, too lazy to bother with her, and prepared to continue eating. Then, a small plate of peeled shrimp was placed in front of me. I looked up and met the eyes of a certain culprit. "Care for a bite?" Under the various gazes of others, I calmly ate the shrimp he had peeled. You see, there was nothing I could do. He insisted on doting on me. I was very reserved and noble. The class beauty pursed her lips and glared at me even more fiercely. Afterward, the entire gathering ended in a strange yet warm atmosphere. When I said goodbye to the teacher alone, she held my hand and gossiped. "Are you and Jason dating?" "No, I didn't even know he was your student too." I denied it directly, but my peripheral vision secretly glanced at the tall figure. Indeed, we weren't dating. It just seemed like he was pursuing me. The teacher sighed and patted my hand earnestly. "Isabel, you seem well-behaved, but you're actually very independent and closed off. In high school, you loved reading by yourself, and then you got sick. I estimate you've probably forgotten almost all your other classmates by now. It's comforting to me that you have a connection with Jason." I was puzzled. The teacher continued. "It seems you don't know yet, but when you were sick in the hospital, Jason came to see me once." I paused. "He came to see you?" "Yes. When you were sick, he asked me which hospital you were in." His little face. Oh, he was so worried. I told him, on the condition that he wouldn't disturb your rest. "You two were my most outstanding students at the time. I allowed crushes, but not early relationships. Later, he often secretly visited you at the hospital. When he learned you were struggling with math, he compiled a stack of notes for you and asked me to give them to you. That's when I realized that someone as proud as him could also have a secret crush." "Notes?" I hadn't been discharged from the hospital yet, and the teacher gave me a math notebook, telling me to study it carefully. The knowledge inside was detailed and well organized. You could tell the compiler put a lot of effort into it. I always thought it was my math teacher who helped me organize it. I was touched for a long time, even thinking of making a banner to send to the office. I never expected it to be Jason. I blinked. So, without my knowing, he had been secretly good to me for so long. After seeing the teacher off, I stood there watching Jason, who was talking to his classmates. A favored son of heaven, a campus heartthrob. His admirers could circle the university town twice. I'm sure it was no different in high school. It's just that I don't remember. Perhaps my gaze was too wistful, as Jason suddenly turned his head to look at me. And then, under everyone's gaze, he walked straight towards me. His features were clear. "Ready to go?" I nervously picked at my hand. "No rush. You can talk to your classmates first. There's nothing to talk about. I'll accompany you first. That was a bit too direct. So direct that my face felt a little hot. Unable to resist, I quietly asked a question. Jason, why didn't you actively try to get to know me in high school? After all, given my preference for good looks, I would definitely have been impressed by him. But Jason just smiled faintly. Isabel, I actually confessed my feelings to you once, but you rejected me. I was that awesome back then. In my dazed confusion, Jason didn't say much, just drove me safely back to school. He was quite distant and reserved, gentlemanly and polite. It was as if he wasn't the one who had been so frequently clumsy today. That night, I had a dream. In the dream, I was back in high school class, and there was a pile of love letters on my desk. My deskmate teased me. Isabel, you got so many love letters again today. Be careful if the class beauty sees them, she'll be green with envy. Last time you received one, and she secretly slandered you for days. This time there are several. She'll curse your ancestors' graves upside down. I sighed faintly. Sometimes being too charming is also a problem. I'd better return all these love letters for some peace and quiet. Anyway, I love studying, and am determined not to date early. But my deskmate advised me, if you return them like this, you'll probably receive even more next time. Just ruthlessly throw them in the trash. Don't read or reply, and they'll understand naturally. Is that okay? Of course, trust me, it works every time. My deskmate was good-looking and had a lot of early dating experience, so I listened to her. I walked directly to the trash can by the back door of the classroom with a stack of unopened love letters. After silently apologizing a few times, I still threw them away. But when I looked up inadvertently after throwing them, I saw a tall, slender figure walking away down the hallway. He carried the warm yellow light of that afternoon, a vibrant and energetic boy, dazzlingly bright. After the alarm woke me up, I felt terrible because I hadn't gotten enough sleep. Oh well, I only allow myself to sleep 5 hours and 21 minutes a day. I can be dead tired, but romance never dies. After silently sulking for a long time, I slowly washed up and left, as usual, to tutor elementary school students. I don't know what was going on today. The bus wasn't coming, and there were no taxis. Thinking it wasn't too far, I started walking to the student's house. But when I inadvertently looked back, I noticed a sneaky man behind me. It seemed like he had been staring at me ever since I started waiting for the bus at the bus stop. When I left the stop, he followed me. I'm a little nearsighted, and I vaguely noticed that his pants seemed to be wide open. Great. I ran into a pervert. I frowned and quickened my pace. I wasn't worried about what he might do to me on a bustling main road, but I was still a little flustered. But when he saw me walking fast, he got excited too. He chased after me directly, shouting, "Hey, beautiful, beautiful, why are you running? Let's get to know each other." I ignored him and continued to walk quickly. But someone blocked my way with a chuckle. A lewd, skinny man stared at me, his eyes full of malice. My roommate had warned me that there was a pervert lurking around the school recently. It must be him. My face hardened. "Get out of the way." "Heh. Beautiful lady, let me show you something good. Don't leave." This commotion attracted many passers-by, but no one came to help. The pervert grew bolder, preparing to grab my hand directly. Suddenly, he was picked up and thrown out. He fell face first, howling. I blinked and looked at the broad-shouldered boy standing in front of me. My heart skipped a beat, then another. It was Jason. Jason naturally had a cold face, and now his expression was stern and intimidating. It directly stunned the pervert. He tried to run, but he was surrounded by the crowd. After all, someone had stepped up, so the passers-by dared to come forward. The police officers arrived quickly and handcuffed the trembling pervert. After giving a brief statement, I suddenly realized I had missed my tutoring class. I hastily explained the reason to the students' parents. Fortunately, the parents were understanding and didn't mind. I breathed a sigh of relief and turned to look at Jason, who had been with me the whole time, my heart softening. "Good thing you passed by, otherwise I would have been in trouble." The boy's lips curved into a smile. "I wasn't just passing by. That pervert has been very brazen lately. So every time you have tutoring, I'll accompany you from a distance." I was startled. I hadn't expected someone with a playboy face to be so good at pure romance. I pursed my lips and awkwardly thanked him. Thank you, Jason. "You're welcome. But if you're going to thank me, then treat me to a meal." "Fine. I hadn't earned any money today, and now I had to spend some." I nodded resentfully, agreeing. It was still the familiar Porsche Cayenne, and the comfortable, high-end seats allowed my constantly tense nerves to relax. I couldn't help but look at the boy driving and spoke my mind. "Jason, I didn't intentionally throw away your love letter back then." He responded indifferently, seemingly still holding a grudge about it, so his attitude was quite cold. I picked at my hand, awkwardly explaining again. "Mainly, I didn't know you had sent me a love letter at the time. If I had known, I wouldn't have thrown it away. After all, it could have added such a significant highlight to my resume. Look, a love letter from the golden boy Jason to me." After hearing my explanation, Jason's expression softened a bit. "Thanks for not throwing it away. Remember to put it away properly next time." What an impertinent thing to say. I gave a dry laugh, then lowered my eyes and played dead. But the corners of my mouth involuntarily turned up. I originally thought Jason and I would have a harmonious meal today. Unexpectedly, after we sat down, I noticed that one of the people at the next table looked a little familiar. Oh, it was the most popular girl in my high school class. When she saw me, she rolled her eyes. But when she saw Jason behind me, she immediately became shy. Her change was as fast as a Sichuan opera face changing performance. I naturally didn't bother with her and just sat down. Jason probably didn't notice her, because he had been staring intently at me, his clear eyes full of brilliance. It seemed that ever since the misunderstanding about the love letter was cleared up, he had become flirtatious again. No, it should be ever since he got into the wrong car, as if some seal had been broken. I smiled, lowered my head, and ordered food. At this moment, the commotion at the class beauty's table suddenly grew louder. The man opposite her was furious. "We're on a blind date. I bought you a bag, and you're backing out again?" The class beauty glanced at me in a panic, then lowered her voice and scolded. "Who told you to buy it for me? You insisted on buying it yourself, okay?" "And I didn't want to come to this blind date at all. I have a boyfriend." "Where's your boyfriend? Call him over. If you can't, you'll pay me for this bag." "He's right here. Just you wait." I was secretly enjoying the drama when I saw the class beauty suddenly stand up and walk towards our table. My heart skipped a beat. I saw her standing in front of Jason, pleading in a whiny voice. "Jason, could you please pretend to be my boyfriend? That person keeps bothering me. Please." My expression hardened, but I didn't say anything. Jason lifted his eyelids to look at the pitiful class beauty, and coldly uttered 2 words. "Who are you?" The simplest words, the most extreme heartbreak. The class beauty's face twisted for a moment, then quickly returned to its pitiful state. "I'm your high school classmate, from the next class. Please help me just this once, and I'll treat you to dinner later." "Oh." Jason placed the water glass in his hand on the table, neither lightly nor heavily. "No help. My sweetheart is here." After the class beauty and her blind date left, cursing at each other, the restaurant returned to peace. I lowered my head and ate my meal, not knowing what to say to break the overly ambiguous atmosphere at the table. Just then, Jason's phone rang. The person on the other end spoke very quickly, seemingly in a hurry, constantly urging him to go. He agreed, his expression indifferent as he hung up the phone. He clearly looked impatient. I immediately and obediently offered, "If you have something to do, go ahead. I can manage by myself." I needed a moment to compose myself, otherwise I'd be completely flustered. He nodded, then stood up and bent down again. A shadow fell over me, and just like that, he leaned across the table and gave me a light kiss. It was very brief, intimate, yet not overstepping. Before I could fully react, Jason had straightened up, his tone gentle. "I've already paid the bill. Take your time eating. I'll be back to pick you up in about an hour." "Oh, I can actually go back to school by myself," I replied dazedly. "I don't feel comfortable with that. Just wait for me, Belle." This intimate address struck my heart, electrifying me, making my legs weak and my face flush. I could only nod foolishly. After he left, I was still a bit dazed. I had always thought Jason's feelings for me might just be the lingering regret and unwillingness from unrequited love in his youth. But I never expected them to be so enduring, so fervent and intense. Coupled with that handsome face that won the genetic lottery, it was truly unsettling. Jason returned quickly. I had also finished eating, so I ambled to the restaurant entrance to wait for him. What a coincidence! I ran into the class beauty who hadn't left yet. Her hair and clothes were a bit disheveled, as if she had just finished a fight. After seeing me, she immediately tidied her hair and deliberately showed off the designer bag she was carrying. How should I put it? There was a kind of foolish cleverness about her, I didn't really want to bother with her, but she actively approached me. "Oh, Isabel, why are you alone? Isn't Jason with you?" I pretended not to see her and lifted my foot to leave, but the class beauty grabbed me, inexplicably breaking down. "Isabel, I hate your cold demeanor. You clearly don't like Jason. So why do you keep him hanging on? Can't you stop bothering him? Give him to me." Her words left me very confused. Is this person okay? Does she leave the house without her brain? First, he's not an item that can be given away. Second, I pulled my arm free, my tone suspicious yet serious. Who said I don't like him? As soon as I finished speaking, a familiar deep male voice came from behind me, filled with uncontrollable joy. "Belle, really?" I was startled. No. Did he have to come at this most awkward moment, as I secretly groaned? Jason had already walked up to me, intimately taking my hand, his gaze burning. I heard that. "Oh, if you heard it, you heard it." I sighed resentfully, but I didn't pull my hand away from his. Jason chuckled. Then his gentle expression vanished as he turned his head, his eyes fixed on the class beauty with a strong warning. "Do you think I'd even give you a second glance? What are you?" The class beauty's face changed several times before she finally left in a huff, glaring at me a few more times. I shrugged innocently. Jason caressed my face, then turned and led me towards his car parked across the street. The traffic was a bit heavy. He changed to putting his arm around my waist, shielding me in his embrace. Suddenly, he asked me a question. "Belle, did you know me in high school?" I replied with certainty. I must have, because no one wouldn't be moved by Jason. It's just that I had forgotten then. But from now on, I will always remember.